Welcome to Playfully Orange, our conversations on Thursdays about arts and culture here in Central Florida. My guest today is Nicole Dupre. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you for having me, Terry. Nice to see you.
Nicole, you're involved with opera. Your name is French. So did you grow up in Paris?
Oh, I wish, right? I kind of, I always dreamt of having an apartment in Paris. So maybe someday, but unfortunately not yet.
So where did you come from?
So I spent my childhood in the mountains of Pennsylvania until I started high school, and I moved to Atlanta to live with my dad and my stepmom. And when I graduated about 20 years ago, I came to Orlando, and I've been here ever since.
What drew you to Orlando?
I had some friends that were attending Full Sail University and just really enjoyed the community and what it had to offer. And so just on a whim and wanting to do something different, I came down with a group of friends when I was 19 and have made this amazing life here so far.
Did you always know that you wanted to be involved with the arts?
In some ways, my parents were in the Marines, so they traveled a lot. So I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, and my grandparents were season ticket holders to the theater. So I grew up going to the theater with them, attending outdoor concerts, and always had music on in the house. So though we are not musical, people, I don't sing or have played an instrument. I have always just been an absolute lover of anything having to do with theater or music or even art.
Well, how did it come about that you started Opera del Sol?
Well, I have been a hair, makeup, and wig designer for over 15 years. And about 10 years in, I just, I fell in love with opera very organically from, being brought on to a production. As a hair, makeup, and wig designer, I read the story, and it was all about, passion and love and betrayal and these really amazing subject matters. But then we would always be doing them traditionally, set in 1700s, 1800s. And I just thought that there was a place to take this art form and make it more hip and up to date, something that really spoke to our community, Orlando as a whole, because we're not necessarily traditional. So I just thought, maybe I could use this artistic background of mine and create an organization that took this art form and did something different with it.
And that is Opera del Sol's mission?
Yes.
Reason?
Yeah, we want to really change the face of opera, really help, a younger audience fall in love with the art form, and really use those subject matters almost as a soundtrack to social issues. Because really at the heart of a lot of traditional opera pieces is, like I said, oppression, betrayal, murder, and I felt like if Mozart was alive today, he would want us to do things that were, relevant to what we were going through as a community now.
So what year did Opera del Sol get started?
2017.
All right. And you've done some innovative things. So can you tell us about a couple of them?
Yeah, some of the things we started off with, we did opera on a bus. We did some pop-ups and collaborated with Lynx buses. We've then collaborated with Sunrail trains and did an opera on board the Sunrail train. And then when it comes to some of the really cool festivals and things we have here in Central Florida, like the Orlando Fringe Festival and Immerse with Creative City Project, we have then taken opera and mashed it with pop music. So we kind of create these pieces that are like what we call popra. So taking, Mozart's Requiem, for example, what we did last year in 2021 at the Orlando Fringe Festival, we took Mozart's Requiem and infused it with pop songs from Linkin Park and Evanescence to really follow this woman's path through addiction. Again, using this art form to relate to social issues.
You also, I think, describe Central Florida Vocal Arts as a sister organization. So tell us about that relationship.
Yes. So Central Florida Vocal Arts and Opera del Sol, we are a family and we are a part of what we like to call a three-piece pie. So together we create this life cycle of music appreciation. So our executive director, Teresa Smith-Levin, founded Central Florida Vocal Arts about 10 years ago. And about a year in after I started Opera del Sol, we decided that we would merge organizations because together I felt like we could create something, again, this life cycle. So Central Florida Vocal Arts focuses on music education. We are very, very proud of the education we bring to students in Orange County and Osceola County. And then we go on to then being able to have main stage productions where it's almost like our children can graduate to the stage. And then we have Opera del Sol, which is a little bit more avant-garde. We like to say maybe for the mom and dads, the after hours kind of things, because we like to be a little more risque, a little bit more, like I said, a little more hip. So together, we've created this incredible organization where I think that no matter who you are, our organizations can deliver classical music in a way that can appeal to almost anyone.
So you've done things on buses and trains and at festivals, but you also continue to do hair and makeup and have done things like toured with Andrea Bocelli. Is that right?
Yes, I actually just got back from Mexico. I have just finished a 5-city tour with the North American tour with Andrea Bocelli. So I do hair and makeup for all of the performers, and this has been my 3rd year working with them, but my first doing multiple cities. So that has been one of the coolest things that I've got to do. But really, over the last 15 years, that has been my main career. Has been from theater to TV to advertisements and things like that. So.
What's the largest production that you've had to work on?
I would say one of the largest, I think I've done Madame Butterfly 2 times. And that Madame Butterfly is you make everybody Japanese. Almost every single person in that almost 48 member cast has wigs and makeup. And I would say that doing that particular production and using traditional types of geisha makeup and the traditional wigs has been one of the biggest productions that I've ever done. Just in the amount of physical work and pre-show work. It takes several weeks, sometimes months to make all of those wigs, to make all the face charts, to plan an entire production out and bring in your team so that when you do get into the theater, that we are completely organized. We have a set schedule. Everybody knows who's wearing what, doing what. And I think that when I do those large scale opera productions, those are usually the biggest things that I have to do.
And do you contract out for other things? Do you do cosplay?
I'm always available for hire. So I have done several things like that. I've also done some really cool things. I was the hair and makeup designer for the Orlando Ballet for a few years. I did Beauty and the Beast with them. We did the Mad Hatter. So those were some other really cool and creative things that I've got to create.
Well, that's cool. Thank you for being in our community and bringing innovation and different things. Central Florida, I like to say, is a crossroads of the world, and we can be the most innovative place in the world. So thank you, Nicole Dupre, for having a part of that. And thank you, those of you who are watching. For every week, we do a conversation with someone else about arts and culture and Playfully Orange. I also do a Tuesday conversation called Diverse Orange about diversity in Central Florida. So thank you, Nicole.
Thank you. And thank you for everything that you do for the Central Florida community.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Have a great day.